folks. Welcome to the Planning and Land Use Management Committee, September 23rd, the Edward R. Roybal hearing room. And I'd like to thank my colleagues, the Honorable Council Members Jose Sar and the Honorable Councilmember Jack Weiss. We have several items today. I think there's some we can move forward. There are several that have speaker cards. We'll be calling those special. We have items 1, 2. Well, we do have a communication from the mayor's office. We have an appointee, Ms. Joyce Foster. And maybe we should take care of that first. Roberto, you want to read item number 1?
Yes, Councilman. Item 1 is the communications from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Joyce Foster to the West LA APC, and she's a resident of CD5.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you, and I want to first thank you for your support of our city, knowing how time-consuming this could be. I mean,
Has been.
And has been.
Has
a reappointment, that's right, okay.
And she's a former building and safety commissioner as well.
Well, okay, so you're very much well aware of the trenches here. So I first want to thank you, and would you like to share a few words with us?
No, I'm delighted to be reappointed. I think it's an important position in our city area planning commissions, and I hope to see our council give a lot of credence and support to the area planning commissions throughout the city, because I think they have an important role to play.
Great. And just one question in terms of your experience with the city attorney at APC. Is there a consistent dialogue? Is there a lot of feedback? Is there a lot of give and take? Can you just shed some light on your experience?
With the city attorney?
Yes,
absolutely.
At the APC.
Especially on the west side. I can't speak for all area planning, but the west side area planning, we have so many contentious cases that we do really rely on the city attorney for input as to if we're doing the right thing, if we're following the law. I mean, we could go ahead and make decisions without the city attorney, but sometimes I'm afraid we might be getting the city in trouble. But I know our city attorney sitting right here has been on the commission, and we also had one for the years I was on building and safety. And I think it's an important, especially in an area where you have a lot of challenges, a lot of development, a lot of issues.
A lot of stakeholders. Yes.
Yes.
Councilor Weiss?
I just want to say that I very rarely speak when we have commission appointments, almost never. But in my view, Joyce Foster might literally be the best commissioner in the city of LA, and I really mean that. And she's certainly the commissioner that every planning commissioner should aspire to be. There's no question about that.
Thank you.
And I think you're crazy for continuing to want to be on this commission. And
Positive spirit there.
if you were any crazier, you would actually run for CD5. So at least what you
I'm not
have
that
is
crazy.
managed and under control. Good luck to you.
I
Great
keep my
to see you.
craziness under control.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'd like to move that we recommend your reappointment, and I want to thank you, and we have an aye vote? Yes? That will be unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
and
much.
Look forward to seeing you in the council. We do have one speaker card on this, Mr. Noel Weiss. Okay. Okay. Let's go through the consents. We did have number 4 on consent. We do also have a speaker card. Mr. Dale Thrush, are we okay? Okay, let's number 4, Mr. Thrush, did you feel compelled to speak? Because we're ready to put on consent. I guess he is feeling compelled to speak.
All right. With my apologies, Councilmember.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chairman Reyes, members of the committee. My name is Dale Thrush. I'm Planning Deputy for Councilmember Wendy Gruhl. And just to clarify, this is item 4?
Item 4.
Not item 5. I just want to point out that the Council District 2 part of Lakeview Terrace is an equestrian community. Decades ago, the RE11 subdivisions were approved that kind of twisted and wove their way through the community. But all of those properties generally wind up backing onto or being adjacent to horsekeeping properties. Horse trails and boarding stables abound in this community. It is essentially an equestrian community. The case before you presents the city with a policy decision. Should there be 3 non-horsekeeping lots or 2 horsekeeping lots? That's the issue that we've been struggling with through the last 2 sets of hearings, and it's before us again today. The community plan contains several policies designed to preserve and enhance horsekeeping in the community plan area. They are Objectives 1.7, Policy 1-7.1, Objective 1.8, Policies 1-8.1, .2, and .3. Both the RE11 and RE15 zones are consistent with the general plan, and so neither constitutes spot zoning.
Okay.
According to the Planning Department, the issue is whether we can justify the RE15 zone as opposed to the RE11 that's being requested by the applicant. Councilwoman Gruhl believes that the overall equestrian character of the Lakeview Terrace area, the prevalence of equestrian facilities nearby, and the strong policies in the community plan justify preserving the horsekeeping potential of this property. And she urges you to deny the RE11.
Can you say that again? Because you got to speak into the microphone.
Yes. Councilwoman Gruhl urges you to deny the RE11 zone change and approve an RE15 zone change. The difference being you create 2 lots instead of 3, and both of those lots are horsekeeping lots.
Okay. Could we have just the staff step up and just give us what was the recommendation from the commission for staff on this?
Michael LeGrand, Department of City Planning. We're here to represent the North Valley Area Planning Commission's action on this zone change that's before you. In this case, we do support the creation of the 3 single-family dwellings, as well as the zone change to TQ RE11-1.
And so the council member's position, can you respond to with the assertion there?
Yeah, I believe Mr. Thrush spoke about the number of lots that their office would like to see, and I believe he was saying they wanted to reduce that to 2 lots. Was that correct? I missed part of the discussion.
Mr. Thrush?
Yes, Dale Thrush, Planning Deputy for Councilmember Wendy Gruhl. The concept here is not so much the number of lots, it's the zone. If we approve an RE11 zone, you wind up with properties that are too small for horsekeeping. If you approve an RE15 zone, you will wind up with 2 lots on a 40,000 plus square foot parcel. Those 2 lots would then be large enough to support horsekeeping in an equestrian community. That is our issue, from our perspective.
Okay. And staff, can you respond to that?
Yeah, our recommendation was for a zone change to RE11, which we felt was consistent with the community plan and the area. The council office is looking to preserve a little bit larger lots, which would allow for horsekeeping. So there's a little bit of a distinction there. But again, our finding was that it's consistent with the general plan, the community plan for the area, as well as the surrounding lot sizes at RE11.
But the RE15 would be just as consistent, or?
It would also be consistent. I mean, it would create for a larger lot than what currently exists in some of the areas, looking at the radius map, but it wouldn't be inconsistent with the plan.
So I just want to make sure we are aligned with the general plan.
One of the zones that's allowed in that general plan designation.
Okay. So I'd like to recommend we support the council office and their recommendation, given that they want to keep the character of the equestrian character of the area. Can you have a second on that? Thank you. So that will be the action of this committee. Could you, Mr. Thrush, Dale, can you provide your recommendation to the clerk?
I will, yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that's item number 4. Number 5, colleagues, we can move on consent.
So item number 5, submitted to conditions number 4E, related, yeah.
On 5, because I
Yeah.
have no
There
cards
are
on
amendments
5.
also requested. They're on your desk, on the
Okay.
desk.
And these amendments are coming from where?
If staff is here, I think staff is here to discuss the item.
Can I have the staff come forward, please? Here I thought it was going to be an easy agenda.
It is easy.
Okay.
Jose Carlos Romero with City Planning. This is on this zone change. There was a discovery by actually the city attorney on condition number 4E. Condition number 4 on the zone change pertains to signage, establishes some regulations, including prohibiting certain types of signage. And condition 4E, the original condition as written and taken from an existing key condition on the site, establishes a funding source for the removal of non-conforming signs. The city attorney discovered this, and the change only includes language that removal of existing non-conforming signs upon the adoption of this zone change will be at the expense of the developer, and that's the only modification.
Okay, so just a language modification with more direction and clarification. Madam Attorney?
For the record, Sharon Cedar of Cardenas City Attorney's Office. Actually, the modification as proposed by the City Attorney's Office was to specify that the signs that were going to have to be removed are on-site signs. In case there are any off-site signs currently there, state law would prohibit us from requiring them to be removed unless we pay just compensation.
Okay.
Yes, and all signs are on-site, yeah.
Okay, so that we can move this item with the recommended language
Yes.
as proposed by our staff and our city attorney.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ask them out for an aye vote on that. Silence means yes. Okay, yeah, okay, all right. All right. Roberto, next item?
Do you want to go sequentially, or do you want to go back to item 2 and 3? I don't think you've considered those.
Okay, well, we just went through 1 through 5, correct?
We done items 1, 4, and 5, not 2 and 3.
Okay. Then we'll hold off on that. I'm trying to get to the consent items, actually. 6, is that consent? And I don't see any cards on that. We can move on. 6 and 7, see no cards on consent. We don't have a report from the director today. I just want to jump to item 8A and 8B. I understand, can we continue that to October 10th, Mr. Thrush? October 10th? So we'll continue items 8A and 8B for October 10th, but there are people here.
Oh, actually, it's my understanding that we're going to hear items 8A and 8B. I have a consent for council's matter be continued in council until October the 8th, but I think the intent was to hear the item 8A in committee today.
Barbara, what we're going to do today is we're going to hear the folks who want to speak, but my understanding is that we're going to move this to plumb to October 10th.
Dale Thrush for for Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl. My understanding was that the continued date for this hearing was the 7th of October, not the 10th. I don't think
October
10th is-
7th?
I believe that's the date.
Okay.
Just so you know, the committee doesn't meet on the 10th. Our meeting dates in October are October 7th and the 14th. So before the committee met, the applicant approached me and mentioned that they would be willing to hear the item today in committee and continue the council's consideration until the October 8th date. So it's really up to the committee now to determine how they want to proceed. But Plum won't meet again until October 7th, and then again on the 14th.
Okay. Can we do that, Mr. Thrush?
I'd be happy to have this hearing on October 7th. I had to leave the discussion that was going on, so I'm not quite sure how it was resolved. I think your staff may have a different date.
All right. That's where are we? So if we were to hear it in council on the 10th, by when does it have to come to committee?
Okay, I'm looking at a calendar now, and October the 10th is a Friday, and the appeal will be heard in council on Friday, if that's what you choose to do so. But then we could, are you asking for requesting committee to be extended until October 7th and in council the 10th, just for clarity?
That would be fine.
Okay, then we would need written permission submitted by the applicant for both days.
Okay.
As the deadline for council to act is October the 1st.
That's fine. So that'll be
That's fine.
our action. Folks who still want to speak on 8A, 8B, you're welcome to speak, but I want to get through the agenda. But you should know that we're going to continue this to Plum October 7th, scheduled for council October 10th. So folks, I know you made the trip to City Hall. I know it's not easy. I want to respect your time and the fact that you came here. So hold on to your cards. I want to get through the agenda, and then we'll open up the public hearing if you choose to speak now. Okay? So let's hold off on that. And so that takes care of those items. Onto the consent items. So let's go back to where we left off last, Roberto.
The next item, Councilman, would be item 2, is a motion, Labange Reyes, instructing LAPD, LAFD, and Building and Safety to report on the feasibility of placing a cap on the number of large social events in mountain fire district areas.
Okay. We're going to refer this to Department of Building and Safety, to the Fire Department, and the LAPD, but we do have some cards on this. We have Ricardo Gomez and Renee Weitzer. So, Renee, would you like to speak first? Or Mr. Gomez? Come on up. Give us your name and address.
Together.
Together. It's a duet.
Renee Weitzer for Councilman Tom Labange. We're happy to see this motion on the agenda today. We'd like the departments to come back in 30 days. We're going to be having meetings in our office with Fire, LAPD, and Building and Safety.
Okay, so that's the goal. 30 days.
That's the goal. We're having a lot of problems in our district with party houses.
Okay. Mr. Gomez?
Yes, my name is Ricardo Gomez. Address is 4051 Cumberland Avenue, Los Angeles, California, 90027. I'm here on behalf of 2 residents associations that cover my area. I'm on the board of directors of the Los Feliz Improvement Association, and I'm chairperson of the Franklin Hills Residents Association Nuisance Abatement Committee. And we do support the motion. We've had a lot of problems with parties of this nature, but a number of our residents want to make sure the study recognizes the distinction between the commercial use of private residential properties and the private use of residential properties, meaning the uses which are incidental to home ownership, such as having your own party. Some people are concerned about their personal parties being regulated by the city, so that's an issue, but we do support the motion for the study. Another issue that was raised by residents, which is not directly related to this committee but relates to the problem, is that we feel that existing anti-noise ordinances in the city can solve these problems, but they're not enforced by the Los Angeles Police Department due to a lack of resources. In that respect, we'd like to see some joint effort. We're aware of Councilman Weisar's rave party motion, and some of the issues addressed in those studies pertain to some of the changes we'd like to see with respect to the anti-noise effort. So, but we'd like to see some kind of consolidation or some sort of way to coordinate these efforts so we don't end up with this patchwork of laws which aren't enforced, because there's a lot of stuff on the books that are not being enforced.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that takes care of that item. Next, Roberto?
Councilman, it would be item 3. It's a building and safety report for a refund request, and I believe this item will be continued.
Then we'll continue this for 2 weeks. Now that takes care of 3. Next.
I believe that's the entire agenda, unless you're going to have a public hearing on item 8.
I want to ask people that are here for item 8, if you'd like to speak at this time, if you're still here, come on up. You got 2 minutes to speak. Give us your name and address. And I'm assuming some folks already left, but please give us your name and address.
Yes, I'm Dr. Rosemarie White. I live at 11576 Morrison Street in Valley Village, California. And I'm here and thought I would just take the opportunity to address you because I'm with the Sierra Club, the National Sierra Club, and I'm chair of the Wildlife and Endangered Species Committee of the Angeles chapter. And I want to take this opportunity to make a comment about planning and development and wildlife corridors.
You got 1 minute and 27 seconds, so please go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm just about to finish.
Okay.
And it strikes me, as it has for a number of years, that we all should be working together. All of us should be working together because, in point of fact, we're losing all of our wildlife, and we need to do something about that. And if we would all get together, I think we could do something. And Councilmember Weiss, I know you from the Encino Neighborhood Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. White. Next speaker, come on up, because I'm not sure who's here and who's not, so come on up.
Hey, honorable members, Paul Edelman with the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. We're going to make most of our comments later at the other hearing, but I just wanted to put on the record that Big Tujunga Wash is probably the most unique ecological feature in the city, and that our position is going to be that given its viewshed importance and ecological importance, that we shouldn't walk away from the Plum hearing on the 7th without some kind of recommendation that there be a buffer zone, a natural buffer zone of some width along the northern boundary of this property next to the wash, i.e. that means that the developer will have to lose some units, but we feel that we're adamant about that position and will provide the viewshed and the ecological justification to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next speaker, if any. Okay, so we'll keep the public hearing open when next time it comes up. I believe we're targeting for the 7th and to council for the 10th. I'm hoping building and safety and other departments will have the information we need to continue. Oh, one more speaker? Please come on up.
Good afternoon, esteemed committee members. I'm here on behalf of the project applicant, and just listening to one of the public speakers saying how we all need to work together, and I think that's exactly what this project is, an example of the evolution of a project that was with much community input and working with the councilwoman staff. This project initially, when it was first submitted, was for 27 units. And the R1 zone that we were requesting at the time actually permitted 29 units. We submitted our application for 27. After meeting with the neighborhood council suggested or recommended that we change our request from an R1 zone to an RS zone, which was still consistent with the area, but was a less dense zoning designation, and we did that. So we went down to 20 units. And then in consultation with the advisory agency, our project went down to 18 units. So this project is very much an example of working with the community. And again, it went down from 27 units down to 18 units. And as far as the concerns related to the environmental concerns, there is an approved MND on file, and there was some extensive update to that MND. So we are confident that with the proposed mitigation measures that are part of the MND, that all environmental impacts are less than significant. So thank you.
Mr. Tapia, correct?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to let you know that we thank you for your cooperation for the continuance, but we did need more information from building and safety on some corrective actions on the site and some physical information in terms of the characteristics of the topography before and after, and that's the kind of information we're seeking. So thank you for your cooperation.
Yeah, we're aware of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Ben Resnick with Jeffrey Mangles, also representing the applicant. Mr. Tapia just touched upon some of the history, but I want to address specifically a couple of concerns I'd have. The Conservancy stood up today and said they want a buffer zone from our property to Big Tujunga Wash. We don't touch or border on Tujunga Wash. There's another private property to the north of us between Tujunga Wash and the majority of this site. Secondly,
the concern you just raised about having building and safety respond back on a citation that was issued, that's a very old citation, first of all. It's old information, and we are concerned that it came up now, obviously, on the day of the hearing. But the history on the site, there has been dumping on the site, and that's been cleared. That has, of course, none of that would have any relevance to a tract map or a zone change. But I also want to point out that the Planning Commission continued this matter for 4 months in order to do further environmental studies just for the very questions that the chair asked. That is, they wanted to have a reevaluation of the environmental after the dumping had been done, and the staff had further environmental studies done, and the conclusions are that there are no significant adverse impacts. They looked at the site, so that the work you're talking about, Mr. Chair, has been done, and that's in the and then the last thing is basically the letter from Building and Safety. I'm not sure what it is we're looking for from them. They don't really usually on a citation. Once you're done, and there's no follow-up on that. But I do want to point out that over the years, there has been clearing of this site done. And when our client didn't do the clearing, the city did it for him and charged him. So our client got tagged for thousands of dollars at one point to have to pay the city because the fire department issued orders in that area that clearings had to be done. And a lot of people mistook that for altering the site, grading the site, and all kinds of things like that. So I just want the chair to be aware of that.
I appreciate it, Mr. Resnick, and again, I need to listen to our city family and how they're doing their work. We want that information before us, and that's, again, I thank you for allowing that continuation. All right, sir.
Yes, my name is John Lowy. I'm a neighbor. I live a few hundred feet away from this proposed project, and I just wanted to say a couple things. One is that the presentation, and this is a big compromise, and they've worked with the community. They've never come to our area, our neighborhood, and there's been no dialogue whatsoever about this project. And if you go out and take a look at the project, it simply does not fit in. It's a huge development, whether it's 21 or 29 homes, in an area that there has been dumping that's taken place. It's not old dumping. It just happened in the last year, and that's what you'll get the report on. But it happened right before a commission meeting. And, the way they characterize this is they've worked with the community in the compromise. Well, the community I live in has had no input on this whatsoever. And we're very much against this project.
Thank you so much for your patience. And one last speaker, I believe.
My name is Elaine Brown. I live at 11445 Skyland Road in Sunland. I am the appellant. I wasn't going to speak today, but because you are looking into the infractions of dumping, I want you to be aware that there were 150 or so letters written to Councilmember Gruhl. She got the first bioassessment. It was ordered. The developer hired the bioassessor, Christopher Joseph, and approximately a month before the assessment was done, they dumped dirt all over the property and graded it. When they say the city cleared it, the property is about 500 by 500 or maybe more feet. It doesn't have, the whole property did not have to be cleared for fire protection because it's a 200-foot parameter from any habitable dwelling. So they just simply graded the entire property and then dumped dirt all over it. And it's a little hard to see fauna and flora after they've been crushed with dirt and graded away. So I wanted you to be aware of that when you looked into it. I have also asked Councilmember Gruhl's office to follow up on the suggestion that was made, I believe it was by the advisory agency staff, that the city planning administrator of the scenic corridor specific plan be contacted because this entire project is in a scenic corridor. Thank you, and I'll speak to you again on October 7th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that concludes this item. We'll continue this to October 7th, and that leaves us with, I believe, public comment. Is that correct?
Yes, Councilor.
Okay, so public comment. We have one card, Mr. Noel Wise.
Before we go to public comment, Councilmember, I just want to get clarification on item number 2. It was a refer to staff with a report back for 30 days and a second on that.
For 30 days, right?
Yes.
You needed a second on that?
Yeah, I want to get a second because I want to make sure that was the action. We kind of...
Well, that was the request.
Okay, all right.
And we'll say 30 days.
Okay, thank you very much. That's what that request was, for 30 days.
Right, right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Council members, good afternoon. The couple of issues here relative to situation. Number one, just for the record, we have item number 9, which I put in a card for. Item number 10, no report by the Housing Department, no report by the Planning Department. Again, I would ask the chairman of this committee to have planning here, to have housing here. The fact that it's on the agenda and not responded to, I don't think shows respect for the committee or frankly the public. And if they're not going to show, then why have it on the agenda? If you do have it on the agenda, Mr. Reyes, I think they need to show. Again, I say that with all due respect. And it would afford a great opportunity for the public to communicate with the Housing Department and to the Planning Department about their problems at the same time as they're communicating with you. It would be an efficient way for you to accomplish your objective. Secondly, Mr. Weiss, please, I only have a limited period of time. You can talk to me all you want. Okay? Show some respect for the public. Seriously. Number 2. This idea of hubris versus humility. We just saw it exhibited again by Mr. Weiss. What we're talking about is a little bit more humility and a little less hubris. Now specifically, and a part of this problem, it really hits home. Honestly, you guys just had a big debate in City Council about the fact of why this country's going bankrupt, why the Congress sits back and does nothing. I'm asking for one thing only, curiosity. We have the failure of the monumental failure of the Planning Department in Lincoln Place. Just a little curiosity, council members. Why did it happen? Why can't we have some investigation, some analysis as to why this happened in order to avoid it happening again? It's happening all over Ms. Gruhl's district. It's happening maybe in other areas that I haven't necessarily investigated, but honestly, I encourage you, you have under the charter, you have subpoena power. You have the ability to put people under oath. If in fact we can't get the information, draw it out. We the public, it will help us. Instead, the monument to failure continues, and we're in the middle of an affordable housing crisis, and it's 38 acres. Lastly, in 8 seconds, an idea. $5,000. Appropriate $5,000 from the $50,000 that the neighborhood councils get, and you know what? You probably have $400,000. You could probably have 2 planners assigned to neighborhood councils to take care of some of these planning issues, and you know what? I bet you'd get some pretty decent input out of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, folks, seeing no more public comment, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.